His name, Merlin.
What's going on, knights, lords, ladies, sorcerers, enchantresses, warlocks, everyone across the land of Ambion? As you can hear, my computer is dying, but we're trying to do our best with Merlin Weekly. So put the mic down. As we're doing the episode, The Kindness of Strangers, aka episode 10 of season 5, before we go into fan-made resurrection series of series 6 and blah. Anyway, The Kindness of Strangers, although sounding like a song from the musical / play A Streetcar Named Desire. Anyway, The Kindness of Strangers is the episode where we actually get to see what certain people have been craving for a long time. What life would be like if Merlin had people to help him in his whole entire struggle to save Arthur. That's the broad spectrum about this whole thing, because it gives him someone to actually assist him, someone fighting to protect him, and Merlin by himself for a few segments of the episode. All of which acting as if it's the primary, secondary, and tertiary character just trying their best in the singular plot to just try and save Camelot. And that's something that we've been desiring for a long, extensive period of time. But before we get into that, like I always say for these last couple episodes, you guys should be going out and watching this episode from start to finish, then come back to this review. Now, if you guys didn't do that, then I am disappointed in you. If you did, though, let's discuss. Firstly, Alatorre having a reappearance with a student of Fina, kind of a good way to try and end off a lot of loose ends in the series. Not any of the other ones that we can think of, but at least some of the bigger ones, like Alatorre is one of the few living people that knows who Merlin's true name is to the druids, so what are we going to do to tie up that whole plot thread? And it kind of ends up with him being brutally killed in a silent manner that people would just be like, oh, that's not as grotesque as other murders, but it's like, yeah, it's kind of worse. He died with regret. And that in of itself is a gruesome death that people, when they're just bloodied up and screaming, that feels a lot worse when you feel like you've betrayed your entire people, as well as an entire country of individuals that could have benefited from their savior, their leader, their prophet, whatever. That's just from my own standpoint of how big and a huge gravitas that whole death actually feels. But enough sobbing about Alatorre for the whole intents and purposes. Let's instead focus on the factor that with Alatorre returning, what does that mean other than Morgana is involved? This kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth when you're just like, oh, of course it is. It's of course the obvious person we built up as the villain for a long time now, because we ran out of Arthurian lore apparently. Couldn't have done anything else. There was literally nothing else. I mean, there was Finn McCool and the Fiara that could have been trying to wage war because there was a misunderstanding caused by magical intervention. They could have had the Green Knight causing a bunch of mishaps here and there, to where we also brought in Gawain's whole shining moment to try and be like, the knights are very valuable to bring up their character arcs for the finale of Series 6 as an actual closure. Could have had it where Morgana actually chilled out and we had some of the other real villains that we could think up on an original basis to end this whole thing off, but no. Going to end it off with Morgana starts off good, then becomes the villain because we ran out of time and BBC doesn't believe in enough funding for us to do bigger and better things with the story, and the actors believe they're too old for this role at this point. So yeah, let's wrap it up this way. My saltiness aside, Morgana's whole portrayal in this episode is... that pure silence you guys just heard is just me, like, I got nothing. She was just there. Like, she has a point in the whole episode of, like, I want to find Emrys, but it's like, yes, what else do you want? I want to take Camelot. Yes. What else do you want? I don't know. Do you have any other point in this episode? Oh, I brutally murder someone by having them suffocate under their own flesh. Have you been seeing accounts? No, I haven't. That's basically the whole entire fucking thing with Morgana, and I'm just so bored with her. They could have done so much more with Morgana like they do in Arthurian lore, but they didn't. They just made her so fucking useless. It's like, yeah, she was a big bad villain for the reveal, but it's like, dude, we know your tricks. We know your game. You're nothing new. It's getting tiresome. Tiresome, bitch. So we're going to focus on where the whole story lies a little bit more heavily, which is Merlin. I could go over Arthur, but honestly, Camelot's whole storyline is kind of stupidly boring, because it's just Arthur's feeling very happy because Gwen is back, and he's in love, and trying to be a good husband, and they're trying to find a sorceress. And it's like, okay, nothing important is happening there. But with Merlin, it's just, he's noticing a lot of the changes in the air. A lot more darkness is following overhead. And Fina kind of said it best. A great war is coming that has been foreshadowed for a long time. For seasons upon seasons, this has been heralding, and this is a big deal. The gravitas here is almost suffocating as we're seeing very much beloved characters, or even characters that we're growing to love in just singular episodes alone, being torn away, being horribly injured, or just having the ravages of time attack them, like John Hurt Dragon finally returning in this episode to save Merlin from an arrow wound after Fina sacrifices her life to keep his secret. We get the most touching scene of the entire episode of Merlin just trying to finally talk to the dragon, not as master or servant, not as student and mentor, none of those things of the whole Knight's Code fashion of sword and sorcery genre bases, but as actual magical kin that isn't of getting something from the other. I mean, aside from rescuing Merlin, but that's because that's a service to everybody. It's instead a moment devoted to just Merlin hearing from the great dragon that not everything can be fixed with sorcery. Death happens to us all, whether it's from old age or from just trying to cure all ills. Everything ends up perishing no matter what the consequences are. John Hurt Dragon, he has a lot of deteriorating wings, and he's doing the best he can to just fly around and save Merlin or teach him certain things if the need is called upon. If he can do so with actual grandeur that isn't too much of a hassle on his body. It's a powerful testament to the fact that John Hurt in real life has lived a very long, substantial lifetime. He's done a lot of big things. And even when he passed away after being the War Doctor in Doctor Who as one of the most outstanding roles that he's done outside of being Gillian in Snowpiercer, being Schnauzer in Plague Dogs, and in certain other features that have really shown how great of a actor, voice actor, just all-around character, or even just person in general, has a huge testament to the fact that he knows, even in character years before his own death, that everything has its time, that all seasons have its time. And that was beautiful for the audience. Because even the show knew it was going to end after all these whole seasons. But that was a beautiful way to just tell the whole audience in its own subtle way that it's okay. You may not want to have it stop because it's so good, but it's okay. We're doing the best we can for what time we have left. And I've already stated before how the whole thing kind of ends up for Morgana at the end of the episode. She suffocates some knight that we don't know because she wants to send a warning to Arthur saying, "It's war, bitches!" But it's like, I don't care. We all know it's going to happen. There's nothing surprising anymore. What else can you offer me that's any different? The most powerful moment has already happened and passed. Everyone has given everything to Merlin as his prophecy. Arthur is at his happiest, but also at his most vulnerable. We all saw this shit coming for seasons. What the fuck are you offering that's so different, Morgana, that could be any possible way of a strong balance to the whole equation than what you're doing right now? The Kindness of Strangers is kind of one of those episodes where I don't like or hate it. I'm just seeing this as people in the writing room just throwing up their hands saying they have good moments in it, but they don't know how to give enough substance to make this stand out on the Testament of Time for one of their best episodes. Sure, it was good for just trying to send a message, but overall it wasn't really that outstanding or very powerful or that impactful for other than just what I stated before from John Hurt Dragon's moment. It just was cementing what we already know in the most haphazardly lazy way I've seen in writing. And honestly, that made me very depressed, if anything else. But we will see how everything else pans out in about 3 weeks, because the next 2 weeks I'm going to be out of town, and then the next week afterwards I'm going to be pre-recording the last couple episodes, where I'm going to actually be choosing a few people from the comment section to watch a few of the episodes with me. I'll also be recording this stuff as like behind the scenes video for all the stuff to just us watch the finale and all the other episodes as we go into the final fan-made season that's from what could have been produced, thanks to leading Warwright. And from there, we'll just be trying to do some more stuff. But until then, you guys enjoy the holiday seasons. Have a good Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, winter solstice. Have a wonderful New Year's. And I'll see you guys in 2019 with the final batches of the original Merlin as we begin the final send-off with the fan-made series before we go into the brand new Tuesday Obsession. Take care, my lovely little children, and may all of your mysticism guard over you in these next couple of weeks.